Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday, December the 16th, 2021. I am Sally Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Feisty One, Frankie, and the only crazy lady. You guys are the first ones. Welcome. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. And Feisty has her gold badge there. Still not a super fan. Okay, guys, let's get started because I did start just a tad bit late. Okay, so today I titled this show, Damn, Did You Use the Entire Bottle? So, how do you tell people their cologne is too strong or they're a bit ripe? Do you tell your friend the truth when they ask, how do you like how do I look in this dress? When should you lie? And when should honesty be the best policy? So when people ask questions, mainly your friends or your family, and you assume that they're looking for honest answers, do you tell them? Do you not tell them? Why don't you tell them? You don't want to get into an argument. You don't want to hurt their feelings. You just don't want to go there. When do you go there? And one reason why I said, damn, did you use the entire bottle? For me personally, I don't like cologne. I don't use it, haven't used it in years. And when people use it, and if they use a lot of it, for me personally, it gives me a headache. And there are some people who tend to, women and men tend to, put on a lot. And, if you're in the supermarket and they're in aisle 1 and they just left aisle 5 and you're in aisle 7, you can still smell it. Feisty, thanks for joining the fan club. You can still smell it. So, my question is if it's someone that do you tell them? When do you not tell your friend that they don't look good in that dress? When do you tell your friend that they have on just a tad too much makeup or just entirely too much makeup? When do you tell your male friend that you shouldn't have shaved your head because everyone doesn't have a bald head? So what do you do? So, having said that, I'm going to open it up. Welcome, Crucible Man. I'm going to open it up, and you guys can tell me what you think. I'm going to send out some invites. If you cannot, I understand, but I'll send them out anyway. So, does anyone want to come on and join me in talking about when do you tell people the truth? If you have a friend who is no problem, crazy lady. If you have a friend who is a bit ripe, and you're going out somewhere with them, do you tell them? Do they even know? Do they care? So this is what I want to know. Let's see. Feisty One says, yes, if they're a friend, you shouldn't let them go out like that. Okay. All right. So my question to you then, Feisty One, Are you saying, okay, what do you say? They may not care, but you should tell them. Are you worried about hurting their feelings? And I'm talking to Feisty One or anyone else. I don't know, Frankie. I may end up pissing some people off. I hope it's a funny show. So you're saying no. Okay. It's how you do it's how you deliver the stinky news. Okay. So what if you have someone that is they're on the sensitive side, and no matter what you say to them, no matter how you put it, because there are people like that, no matter how you put it, they're going to get offended. If you say boo, you said boo wrong. Why did you say it like that? How come you didn't do this? I mean, you have people who, no matter what you say to them, they're going to get offended. So what do you do? Welcome, Katrinka. Welcome the dude Sean. Welcome. So what do you do? Do you just, not offend them? Do you risk not offending them? I mean, if I'm going somewhere, we're going to a party, or let's not say we're even going to a party. Let's say that we work at the same place, and we're going out to see a customer, and your coworker is a bit ripe, and it's a noticeable ripe, and you're going out to see this client. Do you tell your coworker, or do you just pretend that you don't smell anything? Um, you know, what do you do? Principal man, welcome. You have the mic.
I think it depends on the relationship, what kind of how close you are with the person. And I think it probably your feedback or lack of feedback might vary depending on the nature of the transgression. Now, if somebody is truly having hygiene problems, I could go on the one hand, we're all adults here, and if you haven't figured out the hygiene thing by now, no amount of input from me is going to change that. On the other hand, if it is a really good friend, and this is an important get together, whether it's with a client or with other people, again, depends on the relationship. You may just want to say, you might want to spray some cologne or something, but it really isn't restricted. That's an obvious one that other people would immediately potentially be offended by, somebody's body odor. But what's the difference between that and you show up at your friend's house, you're going to a party or you're going to a work gathering, and they show up at the door, wearing 6 different colors, plaid and stripes, and I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. And you kind of go, your first thought is, you're not wearing that, are you? And would you say something under those circumstances? Is that your jurisdiction also? So we could open the door to just constant criticism. And as far as people who have a difficult time taking criticism, I just steer clear from those people, because you're right. There's always going to be something. They're always going to be unhappy about something. So that's a different category, I think. But if you're talking about reasonable people who would want to know, you assume they would want to know, it has to be done very tactfully. But I have to be, one to admit, I would be very reluctant. I don't like hurting people's feelings. I don't like embarrassing people. It would have to be a very serious situation for me to stick my nose in there, no pun intended.
Okay. But let me ask this. Welcome, Jimmy. Let me ask this. Is it criticism if it's someone, let's say with someone's rape, okay? and let's say they don't have a hygiene problem. Let's say, that they just showed up, at work. And like I said, you're going out to see this client. This person is a bit right. Maybe they stayed out late the night before. Maybe they didn't take a shower that morning, whatever. But when is it criticism when, for lack of a better way of saying it, I don't mean to sound mean or anything, but when that person should kind of, know better that if they're going certain places or something, that maybe they should have paid a little bit more attention to their hygiene. I understand when you say it depends upon how you say it. It depends upon who the person is. But if you know that you're going out, for this particular important appointment or whatever, is it criticism to tell them? I mean, I know what I'm trying to say, but I may not be conveying what I'm trying to say.
I think it is criticism. You're not complimenting them. So, again, I think Feisty once said it in the chat box, it depends on how you deliver the news. But, I think there are, and this is just my opinion and I don't have any facts to support it. I think there are probably two different types of people in the world. One who are very comfortable criticizing, or in their words would probably, making an observation. They never think they're criticizing. And it depends on who it's done in front of, what the context is. But, it just depends on so many different things when it comes to that type of a thing. But yeah, of course it's criticism. But I go back to my original thought, there are people who are very comfortable pointing things out, and there are people who are very reluctant to. And I think those are two camps, and it just depends on your personality and the nature of the relationship. But what you may think is constructive criticism, and there is such a thing, may sound like criticism to another person. So to answer your question, yes, it is criticism, but that doesn't mean it's all bad.
Okay. Jimmy has come on, and Jimmy, before I give you the mic, I just want to tell you guys something really quick. Years ago, and it could have been it was either on 2020 or 48 Hours. I can't remember which one, but this was probably about 20 years ago. So it was years ago. They did a segment where they were doing a survey, and they had 16 people. They had 4 African American, they had 4 Latino, they had 4 Caucasian, and they had 4 Asian. In those groups of people, you had two men, 2 women. Okay, so you had 8 and 8. Then they had them go into a room with no windows. It was like a conference room. And, they said, please, if you guys can all sit here, whatever. And one particular person noticed that it was 4, 4, and 4. And they're like, oh, well, is this going to be a survey on race, or what is it going to be on? So then this woman comes in, and, she asks everyone to please take a seat. And she puts these boxes in front of everyone. And she says, please don't touch the boxes, whatever. We'll address them, at a later time. And everyone's, looking around at each other, and they're looking at the boxes. And they're wondering, well, what's going on? But this one particular woman, it was one of the African-American women. She kept looking at this lady. And she was like, just kept she kept looking at her, and her nose was kind of going up. And then, the lady's talking, the lady who came into the room, she's talking to everybody, and everyone else is kind of looking at her. But this one African-American woman, she is like, you can tell she wants to say something. So finally she says, ma'am, your cologne, it is so incredibly strong. And everyone kind of looked at each other, and the lady looked at her. She goes, well, what do you mean? She goes, your cologne is so strong. She says, literally, there's no windows in this room. It is stifling. I need to get up and leave. So then everybody else started speaking up. Not everyone, but probably about 6 more people spoke up, said, well, yeah, your cologne, it is strong, whatever, and the lady who came into the room, she left, in a huff, like how dare you, whatever. And they were like, we don't want to stay in this room because it stinks in here. So another lady came in and she says, what's the problem? And the African American woman said, the cologne, really, really strong, whatever. Can we move to another room? She says, okay, let me get another room, whatever. So they placed everybody into another room. The second lady came back and she put everybody's boxes in front of them again. And then she had everyone in the room, and people were talking amongst themselves about this woman who had on this cologne. When the lady came in, she says, thank you for completing the survey. And the survey had nothing to do with race. It had nothing to do with the boxes. It was who was going to speak up about this woman and the cologne she had on. It was how long do you let something go? And then if one person speaks up, does the other person speak up? So, so when you have something like that, is it criticism? Is it rude? Does that person who had on the cologne, should they know better? Should they know that it's too much? So having said that, Jimmy, thank you for waiting patiently. You have the mic.
Okay. Well, before I say my opinion, I'd like to add something just for food for thought. Now, was it really a survey based on a person's response or how long it took them to respond, or was it a survey based on people's fear? Because that sounded like they were wanting to understand a person's fear of speaking up more than just speaking up about how long would they let fear of the fact that if I say something, is this person going to attack me, or is this person going to say something bad to me, or the people around me going to say something bad to me? That sounded like a fear project.
If I recall, didn't have anything to do with fear. It was more, if one person speaks up, how long would it take for someone else to, like, you have one person in a room that starts to clap, and then everyone else starts to
Okay.
clap. So it was one of those.
Well, honestly, I don't. I always believe honesty is the best policy. I don't think people should be afraid to say the truth. Yes, I get it. In certain instances, if you say the truth, you can hurt a person's feelings. But then you got to take into the account, if the in my mind, the way I process things is, am I going to hurt the person more by lying to them and saying that, oh, they smell good when they really don't, and then if somebody else turns around and says, oh, you stink, you smell horrible, and they're going to turn and look at me and be upset with me because I lied saying that they smelled good when they really smelled terrible. So I have to weigh the decision. What's going to hurt them more, me lying to them or me telling them the truth?
So are you going to be, let's say it's a friend of yours. Are you going to be
Mm-hmm.
more concerned with telling them the truth, or are you going to be more concerned with hurting their feelings?
I'm more concerned about telling the truth more than their feelings, because I'm the kind of like I said, I'm the kind of person who loves honesty. And I've had people tell me before that I stink, and I wasn't angry or upset. I just told them, okay, well, maybe it was something that spilt on me, or maybe it was just my cologne, because sometimes cologne, um, a lot of people don't realize that cologne actually does expire, depending how it's made, like the oils in it and stuff. And instead of it smelling good, it gives off a bad odor because of how it's made. So, uh, when it comes to a friend, definitely, I would tell them. I would be honest with them. When it comes to a stranger, I'll be more subtle about it. I won't be straight up blunt like I would with a friend. Uh, Specifically because I don't know how they're gonna react. So, but I still tend to lean more to be honest, on the honest spectrum than just lying, because I don't think lying helps anybody in the long run. It really doesn't.
Okay, so Jimmy, let me ask you this: if you were in that survey and you were in that room, and have you ever been around people who have on just entirely too much cologne or
Hmm.
aftershave or whatever? Okay, so you're
I
in a
sure have.
room. Okay, so you're in a room with no windows or whatever. what would you have done? Do you think that you would have spoke up first, or do you think that you would have waited until someone else spoke up, or do you think that you just would have been quiet, or do you just think that you would have just suffered through it?
I definitely would have spoke up, because if it's something that's suffocating me, it's making me feel nauseous or anything. Definitely, I would have spoken up. I wouldn't have been afraid to spoken up, especially if it's if the smell, like I said, the smell is really like potent, or if it's just if not only if it's potent, but if it's just so strong to the point where it's, like I said, suffocating, or um, I mean, if it bothers me respiratorily, because some people have respiratory issues, and with certain distinct smells, if it's too strong, it'll cause people to have respiratory problems, breathing problems. So
Okay.
definitely, I wouldn't mind speaking up ASAP if I have to.
Okay, and see, and I feel the same way, and not to diss on women or anything, but women have a habit of, you take a shower or a bath, then they're using this scented bubble bath or soap, whatever. Then they get out, then they want to put on a scent of, maybe some powder or lotion, whatever. And then they want to put on cologne on top of that. And then by the time you walk out the house, you're walking a perfume bottle. And some
Yeah.
people, I mean, seriously. And I've had, friends who have done that, where I have, let them know, you can't, if we're going someplace, I'm like, you can't ride with me. Your cologne is really strong, because that smell will like be in your car for like a week. And for me, I don't like strong smells, and I'm not one to, want to suffer through it, because I will
Hmm.
get a headache. So yeah, I understand
Right,
that,
I hear you.
in terms of like, criticizing people, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, if someone doesn't tell them, then how do they know that they need to tone it down?
And that's yeah, Shan, that's a good point, crazy lady. Some people got to realize that every person is different when it comes to their sense of smell, taste, hearing, and vision. So some people have a stronger sense of smell. Some people have a weaker sense of smell. And like most of the time, from what I saw on a survey, most of the time that people who like heavily splash cologne or body sprays or deodorant on them, is because they have a weaker sense of smell. They can't really smell it so right away, so they have to put a lot more on just to smell it, and so they can smell it, but they don't realize they put too much on.
Right. And usually they say, if you can smell it, you have one too much,
Hmm.
So, all right. So, Crucible Man, you want to weigh in on what Jimmy and I said, and what Crazy Lady is saying in the chat, and everyone else, you're more than welcome to join in. Um, so, Crucible Man, do you want to weigh in?
I agree with Jimmy. Honesty is the best policy. Maybe with a couple of caveats. Um, I guess one
Explain.
question. Well, one question. This is not the caveat. The caveat has come a minute here, but the one question I think most people should ask under any of those kinds of circumstances is, would I want to be told if it were me who had on too much cologne, was dressed inappropriately, whatever the thing was, would I want to be told? And I think most people would want to be told. Now we get to context. How are they told? When are they told? In other words, if you have the if you still have an opportunity to change the circumstances, in other words, this person hasn't left the house yet, you went over to pick them up, or they're in the car or something, and you haven't arrived to where you're going, and you have a chance to say, well, wait a minute, you might want to change clothes, you might want to put on some cologne, you might want to go back and take a shower while there's still time to rectify the problem. Or conversely, if you wanted to wait until after the event, and tell them afterwards, as long as the message gets delivered. The problem with that is obviously they go through the evening or the event possibly offending other people, but or embarrassing themselves unknowingly. But if you tell somebody something like that in the middle of a party and or an event, and they have no recourse, they can't go home, they have no cologne, they can't change clothes, so they spend the rest of the night being mortified, being self-conscious, being stressed out, not socializing with anybody because they're powerless to change those circumstances. So I think honesty is always the best policy, but there are timing issues too. If you can possibly spare this person a night of embarrassment or stress because they can't fix the problem right then I think that has to be taken into consideration as well.
Jimmy, you
I
want to
see.
respond to that?
I see what he's saying. I do have to agree with him on that. There is certain circumstances where a person probably cannot fix it right away, like he was saying, or can't fix it right away. And even though they can't fix it right away, I still think it'd be appropriate. Though I mean, you don't have to say it in front of everybody. You can just pull them to the side or ask them to volunteer to help you do something, but you're really uh, not really being busy or doing something. You just want to pull them to the side and tell them something, tell them the truth, or tell them what's going on if they stink or they have too much cologne on or, etc. and stuff. But yeah, there's some instances where you have to be cautious where you say it and how you say it in certain situations, like Crucible Man was saying. Uh, I think people, I think would I say honesty is the best policy? I say that because human being, I expect other people to to have compassion as well. And that's the big thing that me being raised. I was always raised to be a compassionate person and understanding person. And if I don't like something or something seems bad, I like to point it out to other people. Hey, people might find this offensive because you're doing this. We're not mad at you. We're just letting you know that this is not acceptable, or you're like putting too much cologne on, or putting too much perfume, or having broccoli on your teeth, in your teeth, or in between your teeth, etc.
All right. So let me ask uh, everyone this, and
See, and I
then
could give you an example. Like when I was about like 12, maybe like 13 years old. I was at a restaurant and I was in like the arcade part, and I noticed this little girl. She looked terrible. She looked horribly sick. Her face was flushed. It was really red. She was really mucusy, and her eyes were just like watery and red. And I looked at her and asked her, "Are you okay? You look terrible. Are you sick? Do you need to tell your parents? Where are your parents at? I can go get them and stuff." And my mom heard me. And my mom looked at me. She got a little upset. She's like, "Why are you telling her that?" I said, "You don't know who that kid is." "Well, look at her. She looks sick. She don't look well. I'm just trying to be nice and trying to get her help." And her mom and dad happened to be next to my mom and heard me. They turned around, looked like, "Oh yeah, she doesn't look good." They grabbed her and took her out of the restaurant. And I didn't mean to offend her, the parents. I just happened to notice that their daughter looked very ill. And I hope, if they're listening to this or the daughters listening to this, I hope, me speaking up helped you, and hope you're alive and well and everybody's okay. And, like I said, it wasn't meant to offend. It was just me being concerned as a person, noticing that. But yeah, my mom kind of got a little snappy at me for speaking up and saying something. And no, but it's just me being concerned.
all right. So let me ask you guys this. So what do you do if like Crucible Man said before, you're going to a party, somebody shows up at the door, and they have on this crazy outfit. Um, you know, what do you do? I mean, do you say, like Crazy Lady said, are you going to wear that? Or, do you just let them, show up at the party or show up at work or wherever you're going like that? But, and, I mean, you have the opportunity to pull them over to the side before you're around a group of people. So what do you do?
So
Crucible Man, hold on for a moment, Jimmy. Crucible Man, I saw the troll and I took care of him. I just prefer not to even acknowledge them. So I'm sorry, Jimmy. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you what was the question,
What,
because
what do
your
you
audio
do?
cut off.
What do you do if someone shows up at your door, and you guys are going to a party or whatever, and they just have on this crazy outfit that just doesn't match, and they just look bad. Do you say something, or do you just go to the party with them and that's their own problem?
Oh, well, yeah, I've had that situation before. I had where I was going to a party with some friends, and one of my friends showed up wearing something that was totally, he was totally underdressed. He wasn't dressed appropriate, and luckily he wore the same size shirts and pants as I did. And I told him, no, dude, is like, hey, so you need to wear something a little bit more, nicer and stuff. It's not that kind of party. I guess we didn't specify what kind of party it was, but here, man, borrow some clothes and uh, everything will be good. It's a yeah. You can just wash them and return it to me later after the party, or you can flip into back to your other clothes, and I'll just wash them whatever myself. He's like, oh, okay. He goes, thanks for the heads up. I was like, yeah, no problem, dude. Just didn't want you to walk in and look out of place. He's like, oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. And you just brought up another point. Crazy lady, did you want to say something? You were on and then you were off. If you want to jump back on. All right. So you just brought up a point. What do you do if you know someone cannot afford, like Jimmy said, you said that your friend showed up and they were underdressed, but what do you do if you have someone that you know cannot afford a particular thing, and you don't have an alternative for them, you don't have an alternative outfit or something, um, and you know that the place that you're going, that no, not only are they underdressed, they may not even be able to get in. What do you do? And that's to
I mean, I
Crystal Man or to Jimmy, whoever wants to answer.
I have literally taken one of my friends to a thrift store to go shopping because they didn't want me to spend so much money. I was like, okay, well, let's go to a thrift store. They have some really nice stuff, and it's cheap and affordable, and you won't feel bad that I dropped so much money on you. Like, oh, okay, and sure enough, I found like designer shirts and pants and undershirts, name brand stuff like dirt cheap, and they were excited that literally I spent maybe about like $10 the most on that. It was a button up shirt, an undershirt, and some slacks.
Okay, I will say I shop in thrift stores, and you can find some good deals there. So, Crystal Man, you want
Definitely.
to answer?
One way of handling these kinds of things that I think, again, it depends on your relationship with this person, but um, humor can be a very effective way of getting a point across while kind of softening the message. You make light of it, but you're still your point is still taken. So in the
Definitely.
example of somebody who shows up at the door, dressed kind of ridiculously, you may just make a joke, say, "Are you trying to make a fashion statement, or does that thing have a cord to plug it in?" You can make a joke about it while still registering your dismay or whatever. Or in the case of cologne or bad hygiene, you could say, they're going to smell you 10 minutes before you get there. And, you can try to lighten things up a little bit. They'll understand what you're saying, but it won't hit them maybe quite so hard. So there's all kinds of situations where humor, if it's used correctly, can be a very deft way of getting your point across, but while still kind of maybe sparing that person's feelings.
All right, so let me ask this. Now, you both have brought up some really good points, but what if some people are tone deaf? What if people are just they're like, all right, they're laughing along, with you, but they just don't get it. What do you do?
Well, I think the word for that is maybe obtuse, and I don't know if obtuse is fixable. It hasn't been in my So yeah, you
Mm.
probably want to just steer clear and go get another shrimp cocktail. I don't know.
All right, so
Well, sometimes some people got to learn the hard way, and unfortunately, there's some people you can tell them, you can be polite to them as much as you can be, and they're still not gonna listen, but they're not gonna get it until they get embarrassed. And I hate to see that, I really do, because I've been part of awkward situations where that has happened. I went out on a date with a girl, and she was totally not wearing appropriate clothing for what we were doing, and I was just like, you want me to take you home so you can change? And she's like, well, no, it's fine. I go, no, you don't understand. And so that's not appropriate, for our event that we're doing. You need to be wearing something more comfortable than that, and something less likely to be caught in the breeze. And she's like, oh, okay. So like she's like, whatever. We win and we did our thing. We were actually ice skating, and she was like, well, I've never ice skated before. I was like, well, that's why I wanted to take you home and change, because if you fall, at least it's not gonna, the ice won't. I guess you can say she won't get like ice burn. You won't fall in the ice and skid and burn yourself. And she was like, oh, okay. So literally I had to waste 25 minutes going back to her house from the ice rink, and then driving another 25 minutes back to the ice rink after she changed, and she finally understood, So
Well,
she learned the hard way.
okay. Now, I was my next question was going to be about the whole dating thing. First, Crucible Man and Frankie both. Thank you guys for your pod rings. Now, Jim, you said the thing about dating. So you told her. Take it. You told her in advance that you guys were going to go ice skating.
Correct.
Okay, so this is where I guess the common sense comes in. This is where, are you tone deaf? If you're going ice skating, you would think that it's going to be cold. So wouldn't you dress, in a way where you're kind of bundled up?
Right. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, she had like leggings on, and I told her, I mean, like, that's not really gonna protect you in case you fall. I mean, it's still gonna hurt. You're still gonna get hurt and stuff. But she's like, whatever. And she learned the hard way. She did wind up falling, and she wound up getting a pretty, I guess you could say it was like a burn and a bruise mix kind of. Because she did
Okay.
like hit the ice and kept sliding for a good while. And I was like, oh, I was like, yep, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna leave a mark in the morning.
Okay. All right. All
But she,
right.
like I said, she got up and said, like, yeah, let's go real quick. I'm like, all right. And thank God the place was pretty cool that they put a stamp on our hand. We didn't have to pay again. We just wound up coming back in. They let us in after we showed them our stamps, and we finished out because they charge us like by the hour. So we were able to finish our hour. Actually, we got a whole new hour.
Well, Crazy Lady says, but I bet she looked cute. Did she look cute, Jimmy?
Yeah, she did. I'm not gonna lie, she did. I just didn't understand what was going through her head when I told her we were gonna eat dinner and then we were gonna go ice skating. I think the only thing she heard was we were gonna eat dinner, because she had like a dress, but she had like leggings underneath, and I was just like, oh god, this is not gonna go out well. So you look
Okay.
cute, but it's not gonna end well if you fall.
All right. So I'm going to take this in a different direction, but I'm going to I'm going to stay on the same road, sort of, but we're going to be going in a different direction. If you can stay on the same road and be on a different direction. But okay, so we have people who are tone deaf, people who just don't get it, whatever. You have people who are just mean and they'll just come out and say, you look ridiculous or whatever. They'll just come out and say that, whatever. But then you have people who don't care how they look or how they smell, whatever. They just don't care. But where do you fit people who, for lack of a better word, because this is the only word that I have, because this is the word that I want to use, who are just stupid, who just are, it's like, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter how many hints you give, they're just stupid. I mean, they just are. So, Crucible Man, you want to start this one off? And welcome, GP Man.
Well, I had said a minute earlier I didn't think obtuse was fixable, so I definitely don't think stupid is fixable. I mean, you really have to be, you're on your own at that point. I mean, to the person, you're on your own, because that's not the only area of their life where they're probably, screwing up. Stupid cuts across just about every facet of a person's life. It isn't like, although it's possible that you're really, really smart in this area of your life and you're just really, really poor in this area. That is definitely possible. But that is more of a personality type of a thing, our strengths and our weaknesses. Stupid, if you're really referring to truly stupid, I know that's a harsh word, but, and not an unintelligent person, they're not going to be. It isn't just an intellect thing at that point. It cuts to a lot of different things that they may not be able to comprehend. Subtle things, nuanced things. It has to be spelled out. Stupid people, and that's a hard thing to have to do all the time. It's very stressful for the other person to try to navigate, the stupidity, because it's really, where do you start, and how do you even proceed. So yeah, when it comes to that type of a thing, I think you just let that person sort of fend for themselves.
Okay, Jimmy, you want to respond to that? And again, if anyone else
Well,
wants to jump in, I'm sorry, Jimmy, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, I I think like we were saying earlier, there's some people are just book smart, but when it comes to being street smart, they're just retarded. They're stupid. They're just like stupid at it. I mean, they don't have that common sense. They lack that. And I know doctors, I know attorneys, I've known dentists. All these people are smart as hell when it comes to being with books and stuff like that. But when it comes to common sense, they're just plain old stupid. I'm like, how do you have a PhD and you're this dumb when it comes to basic stuff? I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, it's like I bet you're the kid and the one kid in class that got picked on because you were a nerd. I just like straight and like seriously about 99.99% of the time they all smile and laugh and say, yeah, how did you know? Oh well, there's your example.
All right. So my
But I
next
think
question
they
is,
can
I'm sorry, go
learn.
ahead.
I was gonna say, but I do think they can learn. Like I said, like these doctors and attorneys and dentists that I hang out with, they do learn, but they like I said, sometimes they learn the hard way, but they do learn and they do wind up changing what offends people, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
But can they really learn? Can people like that, who are, I mean, and I hate to use the word stupid, but that's, I mean, that's the only word that I
Well, that's being
can give,
nice. No, that's being nice. I
but
like this. I use two other different words. I mean, especially when people are being really dumb and really, really dumb. I use two different words for that.
I'm just saying, but I mean, can people really learn? And I'm being totally serious. Can people really learn? Do some people, actually get it? Or is there going to be a segment in society that no matter what you do, they just will never get it. They'll never learn.
Mhm. I think, honestly, it goes into the what makes a person not want to learn something or listen to what a person is teaching me is that they do listen, they do understand, but they just choose to do it a different way. And if you look at it, uh, to the basis of it, it's who or what influences that person's thinking, their ideology, their thought process. Because when we're born into this world, we know absolutely diddly squat. We are our first teachers are our parents. So whatever our parents' thought processes, their ideologies, they bestow that upon the children. And uh, the children go on from there to keep that same mentality going instead of developing their own ideologies, their own thought process on certain subjects and expanding their mind. They just keep that. But some people do learn. Some people do say, hey, that's just one way of thinking. They may look at it a different way. And it's like that old saying that says that there's more than one way to skin a cat. Some people learn and understand that concept, that analogy. Other people just look at it and be like, well, why would I want to skin a cat? Or if there's why if I can skin a cat this way, why would I do it another way? Why work? When it's like, no, I mean, it's meant to say work easier, not harder. And it's just it's I've come to that conclusion. It's just people's ideologies and thought process that has been bestowed upon them from since childhood or outside sources other than their parents, and they just keep that thought process.
Okay. Now, Crazy Lady says Ross is learning how to yell at people correctly. All right.
Well, good for Ross.
Crucible Man,
Hopefully,
you want to? I'm sorry, Jimmy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, hopefully, Crazy Lady is for the righteous reason and not for a bad reason.
Crucible Man, you want to take up on what Jimmy said? Because I have another question for you guys.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense. Your parents are your first teachers, but I think most people in the world, they want to be accepted. They want to be viewed favorably. And if that means that somebody needs to tell them something that they need to hear, then that's what they need to do. But wanting to know something and wanting to fix something and is not the same as having the capacity to do so. So yes, I agree with Jimmy. People can learn if you get a certain amount of feedback consistently of the same, flavor. It will possibly eventually sink in, but again, it goes back to wanting something to happen versus having the capacity to make it happen are two different things. And I think that's when you get into oblivious or obtuse or whatever more polite word you want to use. That ship has probably sailed by then. Your thought processes and your defense mechanisms and all of those things by the time you're an adult are pretty fully formed. So our desire for something is sometimes impeded by our capacity to make it happen.
Okay. All right. So I come to my last question on here. And I know we touched on it a little bit, but I want to get a little bit more into it. When should you lie? And when should honesty be the best policy? Now, Jimmy, I know that you said that, you always want to, be honest with someone, but when should you lie? I mean, when is lying appropriate when one of your friends, like wearing too much cologne, dressing like you're actually going to wear that, or, they're a little bit ripe or whatever. When should you actually lie? When should you not tell the truth? Is there, and I don't mean when you're trying to, out them in front of a bunch of people. I'm saying it's just the two of you. When should you lie? When is lying necessary?
That is a very good question. I'm glad you brought that up. I can give you a very good prime example of why you should lie, and is either to save your life or to save someone else's life. You're not going to tell the person who broke into your house, "Oh, my husband and my children are in the other room," or somebody's robbing the bank and you have a gun in your pocket. They tell you empty your pockets. Are you really going to tell them the truth that you empty everything out of your pocket, or are you going to wait till they turn around and then you're going to put a bullet in them and stop the robbery and save yourself and everybody else? I'm just
Okay.
saying. I'm
No,
just saying.
no,
There's
I mean, no, I
perfectly
mean,
good examples of
no,
when
it
and
is.
where you should lie.
Okay, but can we get one that's a little more, a little more
Well,
plausible that could, happen every day?
mm,
You want me
sure.
to?
I guess. I guess if you want to, I mean, hypothetically speaking, of course, and this is plausible because I mean, people do get away with this every day. Uh, let's take shopping for instance. People people always want to try to find the best deal, get the good deals, and all this stuff, right?
Mhm.
Well, let's just say hypothetically that uh, I love this question. It's difficult to answer, but it brings up a good point. So hypothetically, because I'm just saying, there are people, because there are people who do this, but let's just take this as an example. So when it comes to shopping, like I said, you want to get the best deal and stuff. Now, if you're wheeling and dealing, and some businesses, I mean, I have done this before. I have told some businesses, well, it's cheaper over here at this store, and they wind up calling and they'd be like, oh yeah, we have it on sale right now, or oh yeah, we had it at one time at this price. And I'm not sure if it's still at this price. Let me go check. And I've had the people go, okay, well they say they have it at that price. I'll just sell it to you at that price, and I get it cheaper than what it really is, and I get a good deal. I mean, there's some instances where it could benefit you, but is it morally right? Not necessarily, but I mean, you still benefit off of it.
All right, all right. Crucible man, you want to answer that?
That is a really good question. I think we all find ourselves in situations where we don't have any choice, or we think we don't have any choice but to lie.
Yeah.
Um, it depends, I think it's okay to lie as long as you're
GG.
not. Yeah, I'm struggling here. Um, it's okay to lie, I think, as long as you're not, deliberately being cruel, or if there's another way to resolve the problem, or you tell the truth if you don't want to perpetuate a problem into a longer term situation. So again, you go back to the question: would I want to be told? Sometimes lying is in the other person's best interest, as long as we're not telling them something damaging, something that they're believing that we know is not true. If it's something more innocuous or something less damaging, yeah, I think lying is fine, but I don't think it should be in a material way, because now you're starting to maybe cause damage as
Yeah,
opposed
I
to fix
see.
the problem.
All right. Now, um,
Or like a
you,
birthday surprise, you can lie to the person whose birthday is. If y'all throwing a surprise party, you can lie and say, "Hey, can you want to go to the store with me? I need to go pick up some stuff real quick." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And you get them out of the house long enough so everybody can set up the surprise birthday party. That's an
I
acceptable
mean,
lie.
yeah, yeah, but what if, I mean, what if, and I don't mean to offend anybody on this panel. For most of you, I don't know, what you look like, whatever. Some of you are my friends and I know you personally, but I do not mean to offend. What if someone says, do I look fat in this outfit? Or someone says, or someone's
Yes.
thin,
No.
or someone's thin, and they say, does this look right on me? Now, growing up, I was skinny. I was very skinny. For some people, and I couldn't wear everything. There were just some things that I literally just could not wear. They just did not look right on
I
me,
feel you.
and I knew it. Okay, and I had a mother that would tell me if things did not look right, whatever. So then you have the people who are on the heavy side, and they walk out in something that absolutely that it just does not look right on them. But you're not at the store. You're, where they're trying something on. You're not at their house. Let's say they made it all the way to work in this outfit, and then they decide to ask you, do I look fat in this outfit? And they do.
Hmm.
What do you tell them? Because my question is this: when people ask questions like that, do they really want to know, or are they just asking for you to, you know, give them a pass and say, "Oh yeah, girl, you look good," or "Hey, dude, yeah, oh yeah, you look good"? Are they looking for artificial, props, or do they really want to know whether or not they look good? And I'm going to go to Crucible Man first.
But yeah, I just typed in the chat box. I think that's a very good example, and it's probably pretty common. Um, if they're asking you if you think they look fat, or in an outfit, or otherwise they don't look right, they already have a pretty strong suspicion that that's the case, or they wouldn't be asking, or maybe they just know that you might be the only person who would be honest with them. But there's a reason for that question, particularly when it comes to, does this make me look fat? It's a very touchy type of a thing. Not you wouldn't ask that question of just anybody at work. You would ask it of a friend. But if you're asking that type of a question, or do you think I need to lose weight, something like that, something that's very personal and very touchy, they're asking that question either because they're hoping you say no and they can go about their lives and feel better, but they already have some kind of inkling that they are, and they're looking for some kind of corroboration. I know they don't want their feelings hurt, but they're already onto something, and they're looking for some either validation or disagreement,
Mm.
that they've already made up their minds, and they're looking for some input to validate it, I think.
Jimmy.
Uh, I kind of have to agree. I agree with him on that, and I actually come to the conclusion and realize that that's a setup question women do to men to see if they will be honest with them or not. Because I mean, I've heard that question so many times, and I've responded in so many different ways.
But is it a setup question? Because I honestly would not want to put on an outfit that does not look right for me, and I don't think it's just the men. I think women do it a lot to each other.
Hmm.
Because I wouldn't want to, put on an outfit and walk out of the house, or even if I'm at the store, I've asked salespeople, I know you want a commission, but how does this look? Please tell me the truth. And some of them have come out and said, well, you might want to try this because this looks blah blah blah. So, I mean, Jimmy, is it a setup question, or why would you put something on that may look bad just for someone to tell you that you do look bad?
It's like I was saying, maybe they're testing the characteristic of their friend or the person, especially if it's like boyfriend girlfriend kind of relationship. They want to test the honesty. And I've had a girl that I've dated once that she would wear the most atrocious things that would not match or look terrible on her. Like she had like no business wearing it because it looked terrible. It just didn't match, and B, she just honestly didn't have the body size for it because she was like too skinny, like you're saying. Some people who are too skinny, they don't look good in certain clothes, and people, and vice versa, people who are too fat or too big, they try to wear certain type of clothing, it doesn't look good on their body at all. And I think most people need to be honest with people when it comes to certain clothings that they wear, because you don't want them to go out in public and be embarrassed if a random person, I mean, let's face it, there's always that one person out there in the public that would say something ugly to that person, and then their feelings get hurt even more, because if you tell them, oh yeah, you look good, and then another person, a stranger, just slams them out of nowhere, they're going to turn and look at you like, well, you told me I look good, and blah, 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 and it just gets into an ugly argument, and you're like, how did I get myself in this predicament in the first place? And you realize, oh yeah, because I lied.
All right, but okay, but Crucible Man says, and you tell them yes, it makes you look fat, and then they stop talking to you. Well, at that point, let me ask you this: do you care if they stop talking to you, because they're the ones who asked the question? If you're going to ask the question, then you need to be willing to accept the answer. You may not like it, but you asked it, so you should be willing to accept it. So,
Right.
Crucible Man, well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, some people ask the question and they're genuinely blindsided when they get an answer that they weren't expecting. Um, a lot of people don't want to know the truth. They want to be lied to. They know the truth. You've known your body type, whatever it is, whether it's skinny or heavy, your whole life. As an adult, you know what your body type is. You know what fits you and what doesn't fit you, or you should. So when you're asking those kinds of questions, and the reason I typed in the chat box and then they get mad at you, they didn't want to know the truth. They wanted to hear a lie. They know the truth already, and they wouldn't be asking if they don't. It's like the old saying: "You don't ask a question." A variation of "Don't ask a question that you don't know the answer to." And so I think you end up in a situation where people appear to want to know the truth, but they're really looking for what they want to hear.
All right. And then another thing too is, and I always, it never fails when I always throw people or salespeople off when they ask me this question. And if I give them the honest answer, which I do, you're checking out at the store and they say, did you find everything okay? And I'll say no, because if I didn't, no, I didn't. They're like, well, what can I help you get? Because most people is it's a question that they ask all the time, and most people are like, yes, yes, yes. Meanwhile, they spent a half hour looking for the mail. So when I'm in the store, and if I'm looking for something and I can't find it, I'm just like, forget it. And then I just, check out, and someone says, oh, did you find everything okay? No, I didn't. And
I'm
people
the
are
same way.
genuinely surprised when I say no. It's like, did they train you how to respond to people when they say no? Because you're so used to hearing yes.
I'm the same way. I'm very honest. I'll tell them no if I had a hard time finding something. I'll tell them straight out no. It's everything wasn't all right. And they'd be like, "Well, why?" It's like, "Well, I had a hell of a time trying to find this item, and uh, it was literally in the very back left corner behind a bunch of boxes, and." it had like no business being behind all that stuff. Y'all were either you or either an employee or a customer decided to throw a bunch of crap where it didn't belong. But still, no, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't find everything all right, or you know, something if something else bothered me while I was shopping, I'd be honest with them. And you're right, it does throw them off. They're like, what? They just get absolutely stunned and they just don't know what to say.
Okay, so my question is, because I know that, out of 100 people who go through your checkout line, I'm pretty sure that all 100 people did not, did find the things that they wanted. So my question is, why do you think that the customers lie instead of telling them the truth? Do you think, well, it doesn't matter, I'm headed out the store anyway? Or, I mean, why would you lie? I mean, why say yes if the answer is no? Crucible Man?
Yeah, we've all been in that situation when we were checking out and they asked that question. And my opinion on that is that they don't mean it. It's a gratuitous comment that implies that they care about customer service. They're not in that capacity. They're not working the aisles. They're not stocking the shelves. They're checking you out. They have no ability to fix that problem. Now, could they go and tell a coworker? Yeah, they're not going to, because they don't really care. So that's why I think they get blindsided by, you say something, no, I didn't really get it. They don't know what to say. First of all, nobody ever says it. They just say, yeah, I found everything, because they know it's an insincere comment and it's probably not fixable by that person anyway.
Well, no, I disagree, because depending upon the store, and some of the stores I've been in, they'll ask me, what were you looking for? And then they'll call somebody over and they'll say, well, do you still, want it? And then if I say yes, then, they'll have somebody, go and get it, or if I say no, whatever. So they do have the ability to fix it, but do they care? Probably not. And to that, I would say, honestly, don't ask the question if you're not sincere. If you don't, when you say have a nice day, please mean have a nice day, not okay, have a nice day, and I'm just some robot that you're some nameless person, whatever. And also another thing that I've told people where I've gone into stores where people are checking me out and they're rude, and I finish with my transaction and I'm walking out, and one particular person who was just so rude, she says, you don't even say thank you. I turned around, I said, I shouldn't have to say thank you. The customer should not have to say thank you. We're buying something from this store. You should be thanking me.
Right.
And the lady behind me who was checking out after me, she started laughing and she said, you're absolutely right. Of course, I'm buying something from you. You thank me. I shouldn't have to thank you. So again, it's like, why are we so afraid to tell people the truth? Whether we know them, whether we don't know them, why are we reluctant? Yes, you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, whatever. But, then again, it's like, you have these people who over and over and over, they keep asking you questions. Do I look good in this? Should I do this? Whatever. They keep asking you. Or, they keep popping up a bit ripe, or the cologne is too strong. What's wrong with just telling them the truth?
Good
okay,
question.
Who's ever crunching, I am going to mute your mic. So, Crucible Man, you want to answer that, and we'll let Jimmy finish eating.
I think most people are decent people. They want to say good things to people. They like to give out compliments more than they like to give out criticism. And I'm generalizing here, I know. And I think people are reluctant to say negative things, even if their intentions are good. So if you're asking, why aren't we more honest? I think people are just, their nature is generally kind, and they view that kind of feedback, no matter how tactfully it's delivered, as unkind. So I think that's what holds a lot of people back. At least that's what holds me back, depending on the relationship. But I think people are decent, and they err on the side of they're cautious on the side of, I'd rather be nice and err on that side and maybe make a mistake than err on the side of hurting someone's feelings, especially if there's nothing particular for that person to gain by giving that criticism.
When you say nothing for that person to gain, are you saying the person who is giving the criticism or the person who is receiving it?
The person who's giving it. In other words, there's nothing for me to be gained by being brutally honest with you. It's a situation that's going to pass. It doesn't affect me directly. It isn't going to impact my life. So life goes on. There's others where you kind of like that pick your battles kind of a scenario where it just isn't worth it sometimes. If you don't have anything personal to gain, or if you don't see a direct benefit necessarily to the person you're criticizing, you just kind of let it go. I mean, you can't go to the mat on everything.
But why should it be a personal gain for you? Why can't it be a personal gain for them? Meaning that, okay, I'm sorry, crazy lady asked Jimmy, did you bring enough for the rest of the class? I'm sorry, and I'm reading again. Jimmy, you are now on the blackboard. Yes, you are. All right. So why does it have to be a personal, gain, to you? Can't it just be a personal, gain for someone else, meaning that you're letting them know so they know aware next time that maybe, I shouldn't wear this, or maybe my cologne is too strong, or, make sure that I wash up before, I go here, whatever, because you're helping them. So isn't it selfish? We were talking about being selfish yesterday. Isn't it selfish for it to be a personal gain for you? And I'll let Crucible Man answer, and then I'll go to Shy Lady.
Yeah, I mean, when I say personal gain, I mean, there's nothing in it for me particularly. I can live with it one way or the other. So that's kind of what. And is it being selfish? I don't know. I think people tend to be very cautious about where they stick their nose in. I don't think anybody likes people in their business or criticizing, no matter how constructive it may seem. It's easy, it's easy to not put yourself in the shoes of another person. So, yeah, I think we tend to err on the side of being nice unless there's a direct benefit to us. And yeah, the benefit to them would be it helps them. Yeah, and I'm not saying that that's not appropriate in certain cases. So I guess to directly answer your question, yeah, you could construe it as selfishness, but I think you're erring more on the side of kindness and saying, well, this is not, you're evaluating it as it's not that big of a deal in your view, but maybe for the person who's having the issue, maybe it is a big deal and you should speak up. So that's just me. I think most people are uncomfortable giving criticism because they wouldn't like that criticism coming back the other way either.
Okay. I'm going to come back to that, but Shy Lady, you've been waiting patiently. So what would you like to say?
Hey, everyone. I want to say that I think that it depends on who the person that's asking the question, because I think that if we have personal relationships with the person asking the question, I believe that we'll give our honest opinion, and I think that they will be receptive of it because they know you and they know that, and they trust in your judgment. And if it's a coworker or a stranger that asks you a question, you might not be as quick to give them an answer, but more than likely they're probably not going to ask you. But sometimes, people that you're kind of just acquainted with will ask you a question, kind of catch you off guard, and you may be caught off guard. You may not give a real a true answer. But I think for the most part, people that really know you, that are friends of yours or relatives, and they ask you a question, I think that they trust your judgment to give them a truthful answer. I just wanted to say that.
All right, because when you say that, it may not be anything to you, or but to that other person it just might be. You may not say anything to that person, but meanwhile, in the locker room, during PE class when everybody's changing their clothes, you know, they're talking about you like a dirty dog, or in the break room at work, around the water fountain, you know, because you didn't say something, or because it may not matter to you, people somewhere else, they're talking about you. So I personally think that you should speak up. Yes, you should try to do it in the best constructive way possible. Don't do it in front of a whole crowd. Pull the person to the side, because it does matter to them. Um, uh, you know, um, maybe, for a woman, or a girl, they don't have a mom at home to show them, or for a guy, they don't have a dad at home to, show you that, when you put on, after shave, you put on this much, or when you shave, you do this, you do that, whatever. I think that you should tell people, because I think in the long run, even if it does hurt their feelings, it's going to help them. So,
I
Jimmy, I'm
want to.
coming. I'm sorry, Shiley, what do you want to say?
No, I just want to say, and maybe it's just me, but things are a lot different from when we were growing up. People to me had more class than they do now. And
I
in
agree.
today's world, I see so many people, and of course, in my opinion, that should not be wearing certain things. And I'm looking at some of these people, and I'm saying to myself, surely someone in your house told you how you looked before you left the house, or do you have a mirror to look to see how you look in that? And I'm just amazed at some of the things that
Hmm.
people wear. And I'm not criticizing anyone that's overweight or whatever, but all this body positivity stuff. I'm in the grocery store and I'll see people walk in with crop tops on, and it's a woman that weighs probably 300 pounds. Because she
Yeah,
looked
I don't
good. She
get
looks she
that.
looks good to herself. She looks
Honestly,
good to herself, but
I don't understand that. Why? If you, I
Wait,
don't
wait, 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 wait,
understand
wait, wait, wait,
people who
wait,
are.
wait, Jimmy. Wait, hold on, Jimmy. Let Shy Lady come finish her comment, and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead,
no,
Shy
I'm
Lady.
just saying that I see it a lot, and especially among young women that are probably in their 20s, maybe 30s, and I'm seeing this, and I'm like, wow. Or you see the leggings, and it's like, you weigh 300 pounds. Why do we have to see this? Or it's the shorts that are really, 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 really short, and you have all this massive cellulite. I mean, my husband and I are walking in the store, and there's this woman in the grocery aisle, and my husband said, I'm going to go the other way. I can't look at this. And this woman, she was actually shapely. She was shapely, but she was so shapely that she wanted everybody to know. She had her cheeks hanging out, and she was in good shape. Like I said, most men, that are heterosexual would be like, "Oh my goodness, this is too much." And my husband say, "I love you, but I don't want to see that. That's just not good. That's just not good." But it's people that come out looking like that, and they don't care if it offends anyone. They don't care if to ask anyone how they look. They just want to go out looking the way they look. That's just me. That's just my opinion.
Okay, Jimmy, what do you want to say?
I was just gonna say, yeah, I totally agree with it. Like, I don't get like I seen because I used to work in a high school and I used to see these 15-year-old girls all the way up to like 18-year-old girls and even some of the 20-year-olds when I'm out shopping. But I see these young girls that are obese or heavily overweight and they're wearing these tiny little tops or these little shorts. I'm like, I just want to tell them, honey, you have no business wearing that whatsoever. So A, you don't have the body for that. B, it's just it looks gross on you. It's just no. So wear clothes that fit you. Don't be buying clothes that are like 5 times too small or 3 times too small and you force yourself in it. I mean, like nobody wants to see that. And B, health reasons, constricting your body and not letting your body breathe because you're wearing tight clothes, that is not healthy and that is not good for your body whatsoever. Constricting your body, natural body's way it breathes and relax. That's just terrible.
So let
and
me ask
and
this.
then and then the skinny girls too. There's some skinny girls that wear some absolutely baggy clothing, or they're wearing clothes that they wear to the gym. I'm like, why are you walking around wearing these clothes that you're supposed to be wearing at the gym, or wearing pajamas? I'm like, what is the deal with that? I see people walk around in pajamas. I'm like, oh my god, that is not street clothes. That's horrible. Why are you wearing that?
So, Jimmy, this is a question. This is a question for all of you, but I'm going to start with Jimmy first. So, you have these young kids. We'll say they're in high school and they're wearing these clothes that are definitely something they should not be wearing. Should the person who is honest, where they will actually get it, come from their own peer group as opposed to a teacher or another adult, a parent or someone where they just think that they're nagging, but maybe they'll get a clue and buy a vowel if it comes from their own peer group. Jimmy?
I think honestly, if it comes from their own peer group, they'll listen more because, as a teenager once, I was very reluctant to pay attention to the adults because, having that teenage rebel mentality of like, don't tell me what to do or what to say, I can make my own decisions. A lot of these kids, they have that mentality. I think everybody goes through that mentality as a teenager. But I mean, hearing it from their peers, I think it'll make them wake up more and they realize, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be wearing this out in public. Maybe I should get healthier, lose this weight first and then wear something. Then I can wear something like this that, that complements my body, not makes my body look grosser than what it is. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like Shalady says, like there's kids that are out there that just absolutely don't give a crap, and that's a sad and a dangerous mentality that they have. And I mean, I know that there's one guy that that goes to one of the school that I was teaching at. This dude is like heavily obese. I mean, like heavily obese. I'm like, dude, you need to lose some weight, bro. You're gonna be diabetic before you're 18, or hell, even before you're 20, if that. And like you have like no self-respect for yourself. Now I get it if he has like some kind of sickness or if he takes medication that makes him gain weight. I get that. I'm excluding those people. I'm specifically talking about the people who don't have any like physical uh, illnesses or mental illnesses that make them eat. Because you have people who are what was it anorexic or that other one bulimic and stuff.
Bulimia.
Bulimia, yeah. And so like I said, I'm excluding those people because those are serious illnesses. I'm just like I said, I was talking specifically about the people who don't have any mental or physical illnesses or not taking medication that's making them gain weight, or the ones, because those people, medication, there is medication that does that and makes them gain weight, but not
Mhm.
talking about those people either. I'm just specifically talking about the other ones. But these kids, like, I don't get these kids why they just don't take care of themselves. I mean, like, man, back in my day, health was a big thing. Like, we were all outside playing, we were all skinny. I mean, the only kids that were overweight during my time were those who were sick with something. That's it. Literally, just
Well,
the ones that
well
were sick with
before
something.
before we had back in the day the president's physical fitness test. I don't know where that went because we don't have that anymore.
Right.
So,
I remember that. I remember like every year during in school that they always PE specifically, or even in our curriculums, our extracurriculums, they made us take a physical test, and if we failed it, then they're like, "Oh no, you have to take PE, and you have to
yep.
you know lose weight."
Okay. So, Crucible Man, do you want to pick up on anything that Shy Lady and Jimmy had to say?
Whether the criticism is coming from your peer group or it's coming from another source, I think the source of the criticism matters. So, in other words, if you're getting criticism from you're a teenager or you're a young adult, and you're getting feedback from your peer group, you're more likely to take that seriously because that group has credibility with you. Now, if it's an adult or your parents, you've put them in a different category with regard to credibility in certain things. Certain areas they have a ton of credibility. Others, less so. So I think who's giving the criticism and how they're giving it has a lot to do with how it's received. And we just tend to value or prioritize feedback from people that we know well and respect and believe are on the same page with us and understand us, as opposed to groups that are maybe more foreign to us. We're a little less likely to accept that criticism because we don't give that group the same credibility we give our peer group.
So let me ask you guys this. So when I ask people questions like, how does this look? Or what do you think? Whatever. I truly want people to tell me. I don't want people to BS me or, because you're my friend or whatever. I truly want to know. So I ask you guys, when you guys ask people their opinion about something you have on or something you're wearing, or something you want to buy, are you asking because you truly want to know, or are you asking because, you're trying to make conversation, or are you asking because, it may not look right or you shouldn't buy that, whatever, but maybe if my friend tells me yes, then it'll give me an excuse. So do you guys, when you ask these questions, do you really want to know? I'm going to go to Shy Lady. Shy Lady?
Yeah, I was just saying that if I ask someone a question, I want to know the truth. Don't lie to me. Tell me the truth so I can avoid the purchase, or I can avoid walking out the house looking like an idiot.
Okay. Jimmy?
Yeah. So I'm the kind of person, if I ask you a question, I really would like your answer, your feedback, unless I'm being a smart ass and asking you something rhetorically.
But why ask the rhetorical question, and why even bring it up?
Well, I bring it up because some people who are smart asses or smart Alex, whatever you want to say it, they tend to. I'm gonna try to describe this as best I can, or say this the best way I can. Some people just tend to have a tendency that they just like kind of like asking the question, does it look like I give a shit? And that kind of attitude or that kind of question, it's rhetorical. We already know the answer. Obviously, if they ask you that question, they obviously don't give a shit, right? So I guess it just depends on the tone of the person, like the way they say the question, really. But if you're being sincere, I think you have a sincere tone with it. And like I said, when I ask a question, I really would like an honest answer. And if I've had many times already, a good handful of times where I asked a question and I didn't get a honest answer, and I either went to a party looking stupid, or I went out to dinner looking stupid, or I screwed up at work because they didn't give me the answer I was looking for.
Okay. All right. Crucible Man?
Yeah, I think everybody wants the truth. I think they really do. At least they say they do. And I said this earlier in the chat. I don't want to be repeating myself, but sometimes they want to hear what they want to hear under the guise of wanting the truth. I would always want to know the truth about whatever I'm asking somebody about. I don't see the point of asking if you're looking for some form of deception. And again, I think most of us in our gut already know the answer to the question that we're asking. We're looking for some confirmation or some validation, but a lot of times people are lacking in. Sometimes, I shouldn't say a lot of times, but frequently they may be lacking in confidence, and they may think they look great, and they're looking for you to tell them that same thing and confirm it, and you give them some feedback that they weren't looking for. I think eventually they probably accept it, but initially it hurts their feelings. Let's face it, nobody likes to hear criticism. But if you're really looking to improve, I don't see how anybody would want anything but an honest answer.
All right. Well, guys, this has been another interesting show. And all you guys have made, really good points. Me, if people, I'm telling you all right now, if you ask me a question and if you don't want my honest answer, do not ask me the question. Ask someone else. So I am that person's. Jimmy,
I second
okay,
that.
you got to go. Okay, well,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
got to go, y'all.
Jimmy, thank you so much.
Hmm.
All right, bye.
Well,
You know,
everybody, y'all be safe. Y'all have a good one. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Y'all have a good one.
all right, Jimmy. We'll probably see you on another show. Bye. All right. So, I mean, people, uh, people will approach things in different ways. But for me, if you don't want to know the answer, if you're asking me the question and you truly don't want to know my honest answer, please do not ask me. On the same note, if I ask you a question, I truly want to know the answer. Um, yes, feelings can get hurt, whatever, but I would rather know the answer than what Shy Lady said, walk out the house looking like an idiot. So, having said that, I'll start with you, Crucible Man. Do you have any last words before we wrap up?
I just think honesty is always the best policy. It certainly depends on how you deliver the news, but kindness should be always the priority. Honesty sometimes, sacrifices kindness, but as long as your intention is to truly help that person resolve a situation, you should do that, but you should do it in the kindest way possible.
All right, Shy Lady.
Oh no, I'm good.
All right. So, so this has been a good show, you guys. So, today is Thursday, which is my Friday. So I won't see you all until Monday. I will tell you, next week is the week of Christmas. I will only be doing 2 shows on Monday and Tuesday. So, but I will have some good topics. So, but thank you guys for coming, and Frankie and Feisty One and Crucible Man. Thank you very much for your pod beans, and Feisty One, thanks for becoming a super fan. I appreciate it. And all of you all, thank you for your likes. So until I see you guys on Monday, speak your truth, go where the wind takes you. I'm Solid Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk, and I'll see you next time. Have a good weekend. Bye. Feisty One, you're part of my fan club. Oh. Okay. Shy Lady, Crucible Man, y'all need to get on it. You too, Juju. And Crazy Lady. Oh boy. This was a good show. This was a good show. This was an interesting show. Crazy Lady, I'm sorry you weren't able to join in and talk, but I appreciate your comments. You have some very good points. But I still don't think everything is necessarily a criticism. But if you ask me, I will tell you. And Juju, I'm sure, are you still at the pool? Thank you. Good show. Thank you. And Feisty One, I will tell you. Congratulations, Feisty One. Not sure. What are we congratulating Feisty One for? Something happened that I missed? Okay, I missed something. But anyway, you guys, being a super fan after I pressured her and threatened her. You guys have a good weekend. See you later. Bye.